Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame community. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. Last year, we saw wide receivers Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel go from mid-round picks, solid wide receivers, to fantasy superstars and league winners. Who is it that might join them this year? Out of these top 24 wide receivers, who are the guys we are identifying as this year's breakout receiver, maybe even wide receiver one overall? Before we get into that, let me remind you, you can join us on Discord. Check out the description below and you'll see a link to join us for free. Also, we're going to be giving you free content all season long, but Patreons can get exclusive access to member-only videos with advanced strategies to help you not only in your redraft leagues, but also best ball leagues, underdog. And we're going to be doing our start sit shows just like we've been doing the last couple of years on Saturday mornings to try to help you set those winning lineups. But patrons will get access to an exclusive start sit show on Sunday mornings with all the latest information, and we guarantee that all your questions will be answered to help you win. Now, Chris, before we make our picks, let me talk about the fact that we know it's probably going to be Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those guys are going to be the top three drafted in every draft in the first round, and there's a good chance they finish as the top three again. But that doesn't mean that there can't be someone else who maybe joins them in terms of fantasy points. I mean, there's a good chance that one of these receivers here does take that big step forward. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think those three guys are definitely better than the rest. They should definitely be the top three. They have the best chance of finishing as the wide receiver one, but they're only the top three guys, and there's no guarantee you can get them. So you got to look elsewhere for potential guys to make that leap as well.
And you know, we've talked about this in previous videos. You do an anchor RB or even a zero RB draft, you're going to wide receiver in the first 2, 3, 4 rounds, maybe. And you want to identify the best possible picks there. So that's why we're here to talk about the guys that we're going after. All right, now let's start with the top receiver choices out there. Like when you go on most of the big boards, these are the guys, you know, that are available the first few rounds. We know the top three, but let's get a little bit deeper here. Who's that receiver you think could join the upper echelon and really, really break out and be a league winner this year?
Yeah, I love CeeDee Lamb. I think it's hard to say, you know, a top 5, 6 drafted wide receiver is being undervalued, but I feel like CeeDee Lamb is really being undervalued. He's entering that year 3, which historically year 3 is the year that wide receivers really, you know, come into their own and start to take off in fantasy. I know we've been spoiled with, you know, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, you know, breaking out right away in year 1 in recent years, but a lot of times it does take until that year 3. Look at his situation. It's exactly what you want from a breakout wide receiver. He's got very little competition for targets, right? Amari Cooper now with the Browns. Michael Gallup coming off ACL, already said he's probably going to, you know, miss all of September. Who knows when he'll be back and how healthy he'll be when he gets back. James Washington just had a foot injury, probably going to miss a huge portion of the season. Jalen Tolbert, I like him, but now he's a rookie who has to get used to the NFL. CeeDee Lamb is going to have a massive target share, and he's attached to a good QB in Dak Prescott. Whatever you think of Dak Prescott, whether you think he's overrated, underrated, properly rated, he's one of the better QBs in the NFL, and we know he can support a fantasy wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb will get a huge target share in a good offense, attached to a good QB. He'll get red zone looks. He'll get scoring opportunities. He has everything you want in a potential wide receiver one. Again, entering that year 3 prime breakout age. I love CeeDee Lamb. If I can't get one of the top 3 guys, he is the guy I am targeting, and he's a guy I truly think will make a massive leap this year and has wide receiver 1 upside.
Absolutely. Look, at target share, that's what you want to chase. Who's just going to have that volume and who has a chance to really stand out and be the alpha? I mean, there's no doubt CeeDee Lamb is already the alpha receiver on that offense. Who else is even going to threaten his target share? That's the thing. Lamb, I mean, I would be almost shocked if he didn't finish as the top 5 receiver this year. Now, we talked about anchor RB and that strategy. Look, the first couple of rounds, you might get one running back to really kind of tire your cart to there. If you go first round RB in the second round, typically you're not getting those top 4 or 5 receivers. So if you miss out on a guy like Lamb, Diggs, Adams, and the such, I'm targeting A.J. Brown. That's the guy I don't want to wait another round to miss out on, because I think that he's easily a top 10 receiver and, of course, has that upside for more. Look, A.J. Brown has been stuck in Tennessee, which, as you know, runs through Derrick Henry. It's the running game. Ryan Tannehill is what you call an efficient but boring quarterback. He can get the ball in the receiver's hands and then watch him go. That's what A.J. Brown's game is that yard after catch ability, kind of Debo-ish, except that, he hasn't got the same opportunities as Debo because he's on a lot more of a boring offense, okay? And they don't even have another secondary receiver in order to kind of take the pressure off A.J. Brown. So thankfully he's free. And look, Philadelphia gave up a lot to get A.J. Brown on draft night for a reason. It's not just because they want to bolster their receiving core. It's because they know this guy can take their offense to the next level. And people talk about Philadelphia being a run-heavy team. And yeah, first half of the season, they passed a lot. Second half of the season, it was all about running the ball. But that was to compensate for what they didn't have, and that was quality targets. He had Devontae Smith in his rookie season. He had Dallas Goedert, who actually was really good. People don't know how efficient he was in the second half. And then what? Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins. Look, no disrespect, but those guys weren't scaring defenses. So they scaled back the passing game on purpose out of necessity. All right. They also kind of disappointed on defense, so they had to compensate by keeping the ball on the ground. We're going to see a totally different offense this year. We're going to see more like what we did in the first half of last year when they had Zach Ertz, right? And they had more targets to go to. We're going to see Jalen Hurts really take off this year. All right. So I think you're going to see A.J. Brown get more targets than he's ever gotten in his career. I think we're going to see more touchdowns than he's ever had in his career. And I really think he's kind of a can't-miss receiver. Look, he's been banged up a little bit here and there. People worry about injuries. He has not missed a whole season. This guy who's missed, 4 games, 3 games, nothing major. And you're not going to be scared away from an elite talent because of potential injuries. If that was the case, you wouldn't be drafting Debo Samuel, because you remember before last year, he missed half the season. All right, so I really have no concerns with A.J. Brown in terms of his number of targets, the offense he's in, his durability. Really, none of those are factors for me. This is a guy who I think is going to smash week in and week out. All right. Who else you got at wide receiver that you think actually has that next level ability to be an elite receiver?
I'm going with another third-year wide receiver. I've talked about this guy a lot, although the hype around him has kind of cooled off, and that is Michael Pittman. But kind of like CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman checks every box you want in a potential wide receiver one as well. I don't think people realize how good Michael Pittman is. We subscribe to reception perception from Matt Harmon. It's the best tool, in my opinion, for analyzing how good wide receivers are in real life as far as getting separation, versus different coverages. Michael Pittman is one of the best wide receivers against man, press, and zone. He can run almost every route, and his numbers against man and zone and press, his success against those are the kind of numbers that only the best of the best wide receivers in history have. Michael Pittman is a bona fide, absolute stud wide receiver, and people don't realize it yet because he was stuck with Phillip Rivers his rookie year, and then Carson Wentz last year, pour one out for Terry McLaurin this year. It's going to be bad for him. But now he has a real quarterback upgrade with Matt Ryan, and sure, maybe Matt Ryan isn't as good as he was, in his MVP year. But go look at his actual numbers, not the box score numbers, his actual numbers. He was still really good. Not only that, he was miles better than Carson Wentz was last year. And the other thing we know about Matt Ryan, kind of like what I talked about with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, is we know Matt Ryan can support fantasy wide receivers. He did it with Julio Jones. Now, granted, Julio Jones, one of the best wide receivers of our generation, but he turned Calvin Ridley into an absolute stud, right? Even Russell Gage had a really strong end of the year last year, and Kyle Pitts, as a rookie, was one of the best rookie tight ends statistically we've ever seen. So Matt Ryan can support a fantasy stud wide receiver. And who is Michael Pittman competing with for targets? Harris Campbell, who already has injury concerns. Alec Pierce, another rookie, who really isn't a target monster type of a receiver. He's more of a vertical, take the top off type of guy. Michael Pittman is also going to have a massive target share in this offense. And unlike last year, where they tried to hide Carson Wentz by just pounding Jonathan Taylor, especially in the red zone, Jonathan Taylor got an incredible amount of red zone touches. They're not going to have to do that with Matt Ryan. They're going to be able to throw the ball more, especially in the red zone. And Michael Pittman is 6'4", 220 pounds. He is a big dude. He might be 240 pounds, actually. He's a big dude. He is a red zone threat. He checks every single potential box that you want as a wide receiver one. And the only reason he's being drafted as low as he is because people don't realize it yet. But I think after this year, people will know, and he won't be the value he is this year. He will be a top 5 or higher drafted wide receiver in 2023 fantasy drafts.
And I think people are starting to slowly catch on. I hate to see it, but his ADP has been climbing. I know, especially in some underdog drafts I'm in. And all of a sudden, he's going earlier and earlier. So I think the word is out. Maybe people are watching and listening to what we're saying because, yeah, man, Pittman, he's going to be a monster this year. All right, and then I'm going to go with a guy that was a stud as a rookie, and for some reason, instead of taking that step forward and becoming even better in year 2, now all of a sudden, people think Jalen Waddle is being overhyped and overdrafted, and that's just absurd. It's so ridiculous. So here's the argument people have. Oh, they have Tyreek Hill now. So Waddle, all of a sudden, he's going to get less receptions, less targets. He's going to, be less involved. Okay, so because they have a good number 1 receiver, that means the number 2 receiver is just worthless, right? Okay, so let's take T. Higgins off our board, right? Because Jamar Chase was so good last year. We don't want T. Higgins. And Mike Williams, what is he going to do? Chris Godwin, yeah, you don't want him because Mike Evans is the featured receiver. That is insane. That is people basically trying to find a reason to hate on Waddle and the Dolphins. I know a lot of it's based on the fact that you don't have faith in Tua. Look, whatever you think about Tua, you know what, that is fine, but I think we've heard enough positive reports in camp to say he will be fine. Let's not forget that this was a guy at one time before his hip injury in college was the number 1 quarterback prospect in college. All right, led his team to a championship. This is a guy who absolutely has all the tools to be a breakout quarterback, and he's got his receiver from college who showed a very clear and obvious connection last year in Jalen Waddle. So I don't think it's as clear cut even to say that Tyreek Hill is by far going to be the number 1 target. I think it's going to be pretty close between the two because Tua actually has a better connection already with Waddle. He's developing that connection with Tyreek Hill. I think it's going to be pretty close. I think both guys are easily top 15 receivers. The fact that Waddle goes in the 3rd round, maybe in the 4th round sometimes, to me it's disrespectful. That's how I feel. All right. Now, I'm a Dolphins fan, I'll admit that, but still, guys, think about the reasons you're trying to hate on Jalen Waddle. See if you can apply those same things to those guys I talked about, like T. Higgins. All right. This is an offense that's going to be significantly better this year. We have a new coach, an offensive-minded coach, came from San Francisco, Mike McDaniel, not a defensive-minded coach, all right? This is a team that's going to open things up. This is an offense that's going to be a lot better. So why would Jalen Waddle's numbers not get a lot better, okay? It's not as if there's only 100 targets to go around and they're going to have to split between Hill and Waddle. That's not how it works, okay? Pass on Waddle all you want. I think this is a guy who absolutely can finish in the top 10, maybe even higher. I wouldn't even be shocked if he outscored Tyreek Hill in fantasy this year. All right, those are our takes. Those are our guys for wide receivers, early receivers that can easily take that next step forward and be league winners, just like Kupp and Debo were last year. All right, we're going to do this also, talk about our mid-round and late-round receivers. Don't miss it. We talked about this for running backs. We're going to give you the most comprehensive coverage for fantasy football all draft season to help you crush that draft. And, of course, you stick with us during the regular season every week. Give you our top waiver wire picks, start, sit, advice, everything you need to win and have fun dominating your league mates. All right, thanks for watching.